Hi there, welcome to another one of Lemon Tube Omega's Life Schools reviews, and this is a game that most people have never even heard about, and this is a train driver simulator released only in Japan in NTSC mode, and this is Train Sim Keisei to Keikyu, and it's all in Japanese as you can see. Here we go, the game begins with a very atmospheric introduction, and in most games you would think that this is actually a teaser with CGI and things using real video graphics, but that is the actual footage from the actual game, as we shall see. Let's just start up a new game, and yes, at the time of recording this, which was several years ago, I actually did know how to use all of these control options, and I wasn't stumbling over the Japanese translations, as you may be able to see. In this game we get to run along 3 or 4 major lines, a red one, a green one and a purple one, and the purple one for this one is probably the easiest one, so let's just select the purple line first of all. That's the Keikyu line, which runs nowhere near Keisei. So let's just select our class for this, and let's just go for the easiest class of course, and on the easiest class we have a number of trains, and we'll have to go through the routes on those lines in order to qualify for the next line and the next train. So there are quite a number of carriages to control, and you can see quite a number of lines as well, so let's just go for the hardest. And which trains do we have available? Well, do we have this one? Well, let's just see, and if it will, it'll let us in, but if it won't, unfortunately it won't. So let's try this route, and of course there is a reward for successfully completing a route, so that's the reward, and that's this route. So let's just navigate our way back through the menus, and again, trying to play this game in Japanese isn't easy because of course it needs a translation. But here we go, we found a route and a train that we can use. There's only one of them, it's this one, something 3000, so let's just select that, and it means that we can set off on this train driving simulator finally, and we can check this game out. So after some loading on the PlayStation 2, we get into the game. As you can see, the actual game is split into a number of sections. There's the main viewing world, and there's the readouts, and of course the instrument panel. So let's just get this train underway as we explain how to drive a train, never mind one that's running on a Japanese railroad. In this game you can see it's more or less an FMV game. It uses real-time footage, and as long as you stick to the speed limit, then the footage will run in real time, and if you slow down then it will slow down just a bit, and there are enough frames per second for the footage to always remain smooth, and that's the main thing. You can see some graphics overlays of the lights that we pass, and every so often, maybe 200 meters, we'll find something, maybe a junction, maybe a light, or maybe a change in speed. And I've played a number of these train simulators over the years to know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, but exactly doing that in practice in Japanese isn't particularly easy, and that gives away the message at the bottom. That means that we are approaching our first station, and that means we'll have to slow it down. on the right hand side you can see in meters the number of meters to go to our destination. And you can see with over 100 meters to go I've slowed down too much, and in this game you have to go right to the edge of that platform and you have to get very close to the edge of it within a certain margin in order to qualify for the next section. You can see even 3 meters is too far away. We'll have to get a little bit closer and you have to be within 2 meters, and then the train will stop and we can take on passengers and we can get ready for our next mission. You can see there is a red counter on the right which ticks down when we are getting ready to set off. All of these things are on a timetable, and so here we go. It's time to maneuver our train out of the station and hopefully into the light. Every so often a number will appear on the left hand side. That's the maximum speed limit, and when the maximum speed limit changes we'll have to slow down to match that. If we go over it we'll gain a penalty, and you can see we have to slow down now to 55, and if we choose the wrong way, forward instead of reverse, then we'll speed up and we'll take a penalty. So we'll have to get it down to that 55. That's not particularly easy, and now we're working our way up there. As soon as we go over it we'll get messages in the top saying we're going too quick, so we'll have to slow it down and keep it below the 55 because we're on a timetable. Of course we don't want to appear too soon or too late. Now it's changed to 70, so let's pile on the power, and haven't noticed that maximum change. You can see we're still struggling to get to that 55, and I've gone the wrong way, braking instead of speeding up. And it works just like that all the way down the track. You get to the time, you get to the speed, and as soon as you get to the speed it says, whoa, back down to 50 again, slam on the brakes. And it gives you a certain margin to get down to that maximum speed, and the 70 you can see is the maximum speed that it's going to be. You can see it still says max 50, and as soon as it is 70 we can pile on the pressure. So it's 70 now, so now we can gear up the train and hopefully bound that towards the next station. You can see we have, well, a certain time limit to get there, and I think it's 44 seconds, 42, 41 remaining, which means we should be near the station, and the meter is ticking down. We have 450 meters to go, so it means that we've now announced the station, and it's the crucial point of when to slow down. If you slow down too much, of course, too quickly, then of course, unfortunately, you'll managed to stop the train. And unfortunately this train stopped for some reason. Maybe I went through a red light, and you have to watch out for red lights, and you have to watch out for stoppages, because if you're running too late then unfortunately you'll have to wait for other trains, and if you are running too early you'll have to wait again. So there you go, the timer is now ticked down. We've now continued, and it looks like what we were actually waiting for was the, well, I'm not quite sure, but the meters to go has now begun again, so hopefully we'll get on towards the next station, and maybe we were simply waiting for a slot in the station, because of course here we go now with 31 seconds over the margin. Unfortunately we had to wait, but we've now gone over the minutes. Let's try to get this station under our belt, and let's try to stop the train in time with 2 meters to go. if you go over in some games it will force you to go in reverse, and in this game, well, you can see that we've slightly gone over the margin and we're a minute late, which isn't amazing, but you can see we're still in the green, so we don't have to reverse in this particular case to get onto that platform. So let's try and make up some time over that next section.
ATS 確認よし。出発進行、空港表示よし。閉じ目よし。成田、定時、定間105。
震度、再確認、震度、再確認。
制限解除。
In most train simulators, it will give us an audio warning as to what to do, and in this game it says Shinko, which means faster, I think. I haven't actually looked that up on the translation, but he says a word before Shinko, which means slow down. So as far as I know, that's it. Otherwise you can just concentrate on the numbers, and in this case it's an 85 zone, and you can see that we are in P3 at the moment. That is power 3, and now we're in neutral, and going in neutral will sometimes give us a warning because we're not supposed to drive around in neutral in this game, but it's an easy way to try and get around the average speed of which we are supposed to be aiming towards that maximum, and if we are at the maximum it will give us a little bit of time to spare to slow down in good time, and if we are slow and late, unfortunately it will not give us that good time and we'll have to speed up. And the great thing about going through a Japanese game like this, number one, it's a video simulator, so we get to see the countryside, and number two, it's the countryside, it's the landscape, which makes this extra special. Because we aren't just travelling round through the M1 corridor, we're actually travelling through Japan, and those fields are probably rice fields and things that you'll probably never see in your own lifetime. It's a green light, so this is a long review, and I've never seen footage of this game, or at least a long review of it, on YouTube, so maybe this is a world's first. You can see we have 43,000 or 4,300 meters to go, and so we get to reach our maximum speed of 105 kilometers. You can see we can raise and lower our view of the instrument panel, and you can see that we're on P4. Usually these trains have 6 gears, forward and reverse, and P6 is for starting up, but usually cruising around in P3 or P4 is the usual thing. You can see we haven't quite reached the 105 kilometers per hour, which is kilometers in this game, and so even at this speed we only just get a mild jog from the graphics, because as we race forward 100 kilometers an hour, it doesn't feel that quick. In this game, it's the art of speeding up and slowing down, and we've still got that maximum of 105, but you can see there's something coming up. You can see it's a slow down area, and the next part will probably be a delay of some kind. We have to go down to 70, so we're at 69.3 now, so that's not too bad. Let's take a look over the horizon, and we can see some more fields and some more cars, and some more great scenery, and for those people that like to relax This is a game where you can just sit back and relax. Usually, if it wasn't for the fact that you have to be all over the place, speeding up and slowing down every 5 seconds, and that is one of the issues of driving a train. You wouldn't actually think it's so bad when you're sat there as a passenger, but when you hear the train slowing down and speeding up every while, and you wonder why the train driver is actually doing that, that's because of the speed limit, and we're still going over the speed limit, and that's why we are being caned by the warnings. So let's slow it all the way down to 50 again for this tunnel. And tunnels in this game and bridges are authentically represented because they would be. It's a video game. It's literally an FMV, full motion video game, and that means that this game is as realistic as it probably could be without actually being there and controlling a live droid which is flying around or stuck on top of a live train, and you can actually tell the train driver what to do. But in this game you can see that we're approaching another platform. There's 300 meters to go, and that means it's time to slam on. We're on B1, which means we're on brake pressure number 1, which is the mildest brake pressure of the game, and we are still trying to get there with 31 seconds in the bag. We've still got those few hundred meters to go, and in this game, just like all the great train simulators on the PS1 and the PS2, including Inertia to Go, it's the art of knowing when to slow down. And if you slam on when you get to the train station itself and the platform, then you can time it and you can get within that time limit. And as you can see, with only 4 seconds remaining, we are about to sail over that time again. In this game, I don't think it lets the player forward until the time limit has run out, and we can check out the dash, and we can unfortunately not look around. But if this is full motion video, sometimes we can see trains appearing on the other line. And here we go, the time is now off. We've now got some more journey to go, so let's set off, hopefully. And, well, I'm not quite sure why we are delayed at this point.
Nibiru 30秒遅れ、定間55。
Finally, we realise that something is amiss, and you can see that means that we've got less than a minute to get to the next platform. And in this game, you have to keep your eyes and your ears open. You can't fall asleep at the cab, otherwise you're going to be sacked. And you can see that we are not at power because we'll have to keep that speed limit, and we're still 10 kilometers under it, unfortunately. So the speed limit is basically saying speed up in this case, otherwise we're not going to make it. And these train simulators aren't as easy as you would imagine. You can see we've got a yellow light followed by a red, and that isn't particularly easy because if we go too long, then we'll find another train on this track and we'll have to stop for that. And you can see with 300 meters to go and not on full power because we're travelling at 45, we're going to have to miss that platform again.
Loop 25.
Unfortunately, we ignored the ATS, which is the 25 miles per hour. That's the top speed in the platform, and that means we've got another fine. And travelling more than 25 miles per hour on a platform is not a good thing to do. You can see EB is on there. That's our emergency brake, and now we're still waiting to travel, but I think that we've got too many penalties on that particular run, and that means we've been booted out of that game. And you can see no points has been given unfortunately, for that particular run, and we'll have to accumulate points on these tracks, and that way we can accumulate trains and we can get more runs under our belt. We're still going for the red run at the moment, and that means that we get to check out a different track, hopefully. And so let's try a different one, and let's hope that we'll have the opportunity to ride it. And sometimes, I'm not quite sure, but I think there are up to 5 trains available in the game, and you will see different cabs in every single one of these track layouts because it's a different train, and they're usually light trains and monorails and light vehicles. So let's check out a different cab. Unfortunately, we seem to have wandered into demo mode, so let's quit out of that demo mode. We don't want to see that, and again, we'll have to quit out, following the Japanese, to get back to where we were before. And the control in this game isn't too bad, and I think there may even be an American or English variant of the game, and unfortunately we can't use that run, so let's try another one. And well, he seems to be going back to the main menu, so yes, sometimes these menus can be confusing if you press that wrong button. And we've gone all the way back to the start, which is entirely possible, but it's entirely possible also to save your game at any point and load that game up from the title screen. And so here we go again into the game itself, and hopefully this time we'll choose a different level. And this footage is of course uncut because, well, it's going to be as live, so you can see exactly what I'm struggling through, and I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, but I'm sure I knew what I was doing at the time. So the purple, the green and the red route. Let's try the red route for this one, and hopefully in the red route it will give us a number of challenges. Let's try the red challenge. And here we go with another few trains. I think the middle one with the purple highlighted means that we've actually got a train on that route, and the rest with nothing highlighted, I presume that we can't ride that. So yes, we can drive a 600 series, which is one of the slowest in the game in this particular run. So let's change that train, let's change that cab again, and let's change to a different route, and maybe we'll see some more of internal Japan in this game. I think at the start it probably gives us our own time to set off, and then the timer starts, I'm not quite sure, but there you go, the 3,000 meters has appeared. So in this particular run I think it's mostly overground for the next couple of runs, so it gives me a chance to talk about how to drive a train in any one of these train simulators, or even in real life.
Shinko.
So you may notice, just to drive a train, all you really need is the accelerator and the brake, and on most trains it's a lever that moves up and down, as you can see, and some of those are even automatic these days, with automatic signalling and things like that. That means the driver can't, well, they can fall asleep technically, but they still have to watch those lights. Each train has forward and reverse, and by pulling back, that's just like an aircraft, pull back means that we go faster, and by pushing forward in this particular sim it means that we brake. And P5, I think there's 6 gears, maybe 5, it depends which train that we're driving, and when we push forward we gain neutral as the gap between the gears, and then we'll go to brake force 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, and then the emergency brake, which is supposed to be slam on to stop for emergencies. I don't think you have to slam on for emergencies in this game, but it is there in case you're travelling too quickly on a platform. And so all you have to do is speed up and then get to the maximum speed limit and then follow the maximum speed limit all the way along. In this case it's 100 kilometers per hour, and if you go over it you'll have to slow down, and if you're not quick enough you'll have to speed up very slowly to reach that, and you'll have to follow that on and off until you get to a platform, and then you'll have to magically judge via your speed the correct place to slow down. Of course, if you run the route more than once, if you see the sign appearing at the bottom, you can see the orange sign appearing at the bottom and the meters to go. If you slow down to, well, it's 25 usually on a platform, but it says that we can drive 100 according to this, because we're actually travelling through this one. So if you slow down when there is, we're actually travelling through this one because we've missed it and we forgot to brake, and that means that we've completely messed this up and we'll probably get booted out with a score of 0. So if you don't stop in time, it's game over. So we failed to stop on the underground, which gives us 0 points, which is fantastic. So let's check out something else this time. Let's change our route and let's hope to change our train, because we want to see more external views of a train. And it's slightly disconcerting to do that, but we'll move on to a different class. You can see there's one train available in this class. It's the purple one, and you can see they're on a different level. The more times you travel the route, the more level you'll gain, and the more experience. This is the airport run apparently. So I've just pressed the back button again by mistake, which is very easy to do. And so let's try that again, hopefully. Oh, press the back button again. So sometimes it's very fun checking out the NTSC games, which are programmed in NTSC, making sure that your emulator, in this case, is in NTSC mode, otherwise you'll be struggling. And if it isn't, then you'll see it in a small window, just like most Amiga games, because they were in NTSC compatible mode. But you can see this one is NTSC, so we get to see it in 4.3 full screen. We have a 500 series train on this particular route, so let's persevere again. And let's try and stay awake, because we want to see the externals of this game, because there aren't that many people playing it on YouTube. And it's a different cab, and so we set off again. This time it's pretty dark because we're underground, and it's great that we get to see all the different changes of environment. You would probably think that train driving is overground in most countries, but in Japan, with it being so busy, they've actually tunnelled through the land so that they can run train networks underneath of it. And knowing the Japanese, they've probably created whole towns underground by now. But you can see that we're approaching very rapidly our next platform, and I think, well, this isn't the route to the overground. I think this is another underground passage, and you can see it's pretty dark, and we have a few speed dials which do actually move authentically, and a boost gauge perhaps, which tells us our brake force, and we'll have to brake pretty rapidly now if we want to stop, which we haven't managed to do again. And yes, we slightly went over the time limit as well, because we had to throw it in reverse just to get there. And in most train sims on the PS1, PS2, of which there are at least maybe 6, 7 or 8 of them, they all work the same way. You have to bang it in reverse so that you can get to the platform. and then unfortunately when you're ready to go the video will start moving again, and that means we can start moving in the right direction. We stick it in neutral to get ready for that, and then P4, I think if you slam it in P6 straight away or P5, then perhaps you'll get wheel spin, so you'll have to gradually move away because this train is bulky, it's heavy, and it weighs a ton with passengers in it. And if you drive away too fast in most of these train simulators, you'll get a penalty because the passengers will be thrown around. And I've known if you go too fast around corners, it will throw you out of the game. If you throw around passengers, it will give you a penalty. If you slow down and crash into very slow down very quickly into a platform, it will give you another penalty. If you go over the speed limit, that's another strike off. And 55 it says is the maximum on this platform, going into a 60 zone. And it's not as easy as you might think because of the weight. This inertia of the train pushes it forward, and when it stops it's hard to get it going again. So you can see we've gone over the time limit again as we roll into another station, and it would have been better if we didn't have 2 meters to go. But if you can see the edge of that platform and the red light to stop, it means that's where you need to stop. And I've yet again stopped too far, which probably means we're going to have to reverse it back, unfortunately, to pick up those passengers before the doors will even open, before we can get a stage clear. So that's just one of the quirks of these games. Just if you thought it was great, unfortunately there are a few drawbacks.
Aizu確認 自動進行制限45
Skipping forward onto our last experience for the last 10 minutes, hopefully we'll check out the outdoors, and you can see a great reflection on these walls. It gives us an impression of what it's like to drive the London Tube, because these walls are circular, and we also get to see another train. But we can admire the scenery. For one thing, we're already travelling too fast and we're gaining penalties, and that means that we gain some kind of speed increase and some time leeway as well by going too quickly. But I think if you go too quickly too many times, it gives us 0 score again, so I'm not quite sure how that works. You have to be perfect, and you have to drive a train. In this game, it's not as easy as actually driving a car or a rally car, because if you make a mistake, then, well, it kicks you out of it, and you don't automatically gain a place on the high score table. Thankfully, you'll be glad to know that we're making our way up through the tunnel now to the outside. You can see the tunnel is now moving up at a quite steep angle, and we're making our way through to the outside, where we will stay for the rest of this review. And this isn't really a review, but let's just give you those review comments anyway. And, well, the play guide elements, you can see the total time that we've been playing, 10 minutes 22. You can see the time that we've got to go, 1 minute 20, our current kilometres an hour, which is 45, the maximum kilometres an hour, which is 45, and the distance to go, which is roughly 600 metres. We're in P1 at the moment, which is power 1 on the power dials, and the percentage is, I think, the percentage plus or backwards that we are on the timetable. So if we are minus 12, it means that we are, well, 12 seconds up, I think, on that timetable, which is terrific.
ご利用でますと青戸に停車いたします。青戸まで止まりませんのでご注意ください。
Or because we are not travelling 50 kilometers an hour, it probably means that we are minus 20, which means we are 20 seconds too slow. But whichever, we have 20 seconds to get to that platform and less than 100 meters to go. So maybe in this particular case, you can see our time deficit is coming down. It might actually be possible to stop in time. But no, it wasn't, and we sailed straight over it by 5 meters, and that's what happens when you're trying to rush against that time limit, and that's why British Transport don't try and keep to a time limit, because when you're trying to rush it leads to mistakes. So you have to have a timetable, of course, so that different trains can run on exactly the same lines, and if you didn't, they'd have the same train running on the same line and you'd have a queue of trains. So you have to have that timetable so that the points can change and switch tracks, so that trains can actually run parallel on the same set of parallel lines. But you certainly don't need to rush, otherwise you'd be rushing and you'll gain penalties in this game.
進行閉じ目よし日暮里30秒遅れ次青戸停車制限65定間70進行
See, on this part of the video we get to move through a town and a city, and I'm not quite sure, but this could either be, well, Keisei or Keikyu, however I pronounced it at the beginning of the video. And you can see that there is a lot of interesting buildings here. They don't build like Europeans, they definitely build in their own style, which is unique. Some of it piled on top of each other, which can be fascinating when you're trying to drive this game.
定間70制限解除進行進行
The other part of this game is stirring that controller up and down, and I don't think there are amazingly hard controls to memorise in a game like this. It's the speed that you need to control, and then having done so, hopefully you will be able to get through it. And part of the fun for me watching this footage back is actually watching the footage and not having my eyes constantly glued on what speed I'm supposed to be doing.
制限解除進行制限70
Heading back towards the review, I think the graphics of course get 10 out of 10 because they are digitally recorded videos. They're not ray traced or anything like that, they're actually recorded from a camcorder, and it uses a pretty wide angle lens as well, which gives us a nice scenery. and I guess if you played this in 16:9 ratio, you get that in 16:9, but this is meant to be a 4:3 game. So I think even though these are the limitations of NTSC in 4:3, I think the digital cabs and the recorded views are amazing to play, especially when we had some very technically inferior train driving games on the PS1. You can see, for whatever reason, we're supposed to be moving forward, and I can't believe, for whatever reason, that it didn't award us that platform, but the time is now ticking down to the next one. So it's better to set off, I suppose. We've got the green light, and that means that we'll really need to keep moving. And it says 6, I'm pretty sure that that's P6, that we really need to get moving in this game. And you will hear all kinds of alarms and buzzes in this game. The alarm that you're actually hearing at the moment is coming from a car alarm outside while I'm trying to narrate this review, but hopefully that car alarm will disappear momentarily. There you go. As for the sound and the audio, well, if you just relax into this, you can really get into the feel of driving a train. You can hear everything recorded digitally, of course, and in most train driving sims you'll hear a voice saying faster and slower. In this particular case it's one in Japanese, so you don't really miss that, but you can definitely feel like opening a window sometimes and blowing fresh air into the room to simulate driving this game. So I give it high marks. It's not easy by any stretch. It's not an arcade train driving simulator, and the Dinesh de Gaulle series were much more lenient when it came to stopping platforms, much more lenient when it came to the time. So if you want an easy game, this is not it, but if you want a video realistic game of driving a train, and it really gives you the perfect idea of driving a train and the difficulties involved with it, then you can't really go wrong with this. And I think it's my favourite train driving sim, even though getting back into this after all this time like it did, well, it led to a lot of mistakes.
Shinko.
As a game and as a train simulator, I'd probably give this 8 out of 10, even though the graphics get a 10, the audio gets a 10, and unfortunately the gameplay only gets a 6 because it's so infuriating to speed up or slow down or miss the timetable or miss the platform or go too fast. So whatever, you can actually throw the game away without your knowledge, and sometimes the game can throw in a few curveballs. Just as you speed up to 95, it will say, oh, now you're only supposed to go 40, and if you go through it, then again you get no points, it's game over. And because the time limits are so tight as well, 22 seconds remaining, well, to go 1,000 meters, it's very difficult indeed. And even though it is fun when you get it right, you will be sweating trying to drive this train. thank you once again for viewing a lemon, well, not even a lemon, a play guide and review by Lifeschools Reviews. And I hope you can, well, I think we went too quickly on that corner and it killed us. So, thank you.